Okay, so this test is the ANSI ESD STM 97.1 test, which is a test of the flooring footwear system, the resistance of the flooring footwear system. So basically, what this tests is the resistance through the person, through the footwear, through the floor to ground, to make sure that that whole process is working, that the footwear is, sort of working with the flooring. And it's required by ESDS 20.20 as part of their standard. So it's a very simple test. It has two components like the other test. There's a qualification component, which would be done in a lab in a controlled environment. For the 97.1 test, you just have to do the low humidity, so the 12% humidity. And I'll describe how that test is done. This is in office, but again, you'd normally do it in a lab with a controlled humidity at 12%. So it's a pretty simple test. Again, you're testing the resistance through the person. To do that, you have a probe, a handheld probe, that's connected to the meter. The other probe is connected to the ground point of the flooring, and you basically test the resistance through that system. So we'll test it here. As normal, you set it at 10 volts. You check it slightly above 10 to the 6th, switch to 100 volts. You take a measurement, and that's your resistance. The other sort of nuance of this test is you do it like I just did. You test it with 2 feet, and then you do the same test standing on 1 foot. You take a resistance measurement, and you'll do the same test standing on the other foot. You're trying to get a sense of is each footwear working, to make sure everything's working. Because there are going to be times, of course, when you're walking, you're stepping up, stepping down. There'll be 1 foot on the floor at a time. So this gives you that complete picture. Again, that's the qualification component. You're doing a resistance to the ground point of the flooring sample, and you're doing it in a controlled environment. The acceptance portion, which is done after the floor has been installed, you would just simply connect 1 lead of the meter to the ground, and because then you're assuming that the floor is grounded, and then you're testing that whole circuit. So again, 1 lead of the meter, instead of being attached to the flooring, would be attached to the ground. So the electrical ground, the floor is grounded to the electrical ground system. And then again, the floor, in theory, if it's installed properly, has been attached to the same ground system. So that'll give you that circuit, and you do the same protocol. And again, in an acceptance test, you're going to do it at ambient. And you record all those conditions. Pretty simple test, but it gives you the resistance of the system, which is important, because it's the footwear and the floor, that combination, that really is what matters. And so that's the 97.1.